Bartolomé Esteban Murillo. B. Seville, 1617. D. Seville, 1682. Murillo spent virtually all his life in Seville, where he enjoyed a highly successful career. His output consisted mainly of religious works, but he also had a distinctive sideline in pictures of beggar children, and he was an excellent, although infrequent, portraitist. Early in his career he was influenced by the somber style of Zurbaran, but he developed a much lighter, airier, and more colorful manner, in particular in his many pictures of the Immaculate Conception, a subject he made his own. Murillo's work was so popular that it was influential in Seville for generations. This eventually damaged his posthumous reputation, as countless saccharine imitations obscured the high quality of his own work. Lifeline. 1617. Born in Seville, the son of a barber surgeon, 1645 marries. Receives first major commission for S. Francisco Convent, 1655. Described by Seville Cathedral's archdeacon as the best painter in Seville. 1660. Is one of the founders of Seville's Art Academy, the first in Spain, and becomes co-president. 1682. Dies after falling from scaffolding while painting a huge altarpiece. The vision of Fray Lautaro Murillo's early style is more solid and less soft-focused than his later manner. C. 1640. Oil on canvas, 218 x 172 cm, Fitzwilliam Museum, Cambridge, UK. Two boys eating melons and grapes. Paintings of beggar children such as this were highly popular with collectors in the 18th century, helping to give Murillo an international reputation unequaled among Spanish artists of his time. C. 1650. Oil on canvas, 146 x 104 cm, Alte Baroque Pinakothek, Munich, Germany. Immaculate Conception. The Immaculate Conception is a Catholic doctrine that the Virgin Mary was conceived in her mother's womb free of the original sin, with which all human beings are burdened. Various details, such as the crescent moon, a symbol of chastity, allude to her purity. The subject was very popular in Spanish art. C. 1678. Oil on canvas, 274 x 190 cm, Prado, Madrid, Spain. Soft focus. These putty cherubs are so softly modeled that they almost seem to be dissolving into the surrounding space. The Spanish use the term estilo vaporoso to describe this characteristic. Alonso Cano. B. Granada, 1601. D. Granada, 1667. Cano was the most versatile Spanish artist of his time, distinguished as a painter, sculptor, draftsman, and architect, hence his nickname, the Spanish Michelangelo. He also had one of the most eventful lives of any Spanish artist, for his stormy temperament often led him into trouble. He fought a duel, spent time in prison for debt, and, most notoriously, was tortured when he was accused of murdering his wife. He was eventually declared innocent. In keeping with this turbulent life, Cano moved around a good deal, but he worked mainly in Seville, Madrid, and finally Granada. His art, in contrast to his character, is typically calm and sometimes even sweet. Almost all his work is on religious subjects. Lifeline. 1601. Born in Granada, 1614 moves to Seville, where he studies painting under Francisco Pacheco and sculpture, probably under Juan Martinez Montañez. 1644. Tortured in Madrid under suspicion of murdering his second wife. 1667. Dies and is buried in the crypt of Granada Cathedral. Facade of Granada Cathedral. Cano died a few months after his design for the cathedral facade was accepted. It is his most important work as an architect. 1667. Granada, Spain. Architectural study. Cano was the son of an altarpiece designer, and was brought up understanding the architectural elements involved in the elaborate altarpieces typical of Spanish art. Pen, ink and wash on paper, 27 x 20 cm, Kunsthal, Hamburg, Germany. Saint John the Evangelist. This altarpiece was painted for a convent in Seville. Saint John is shown with a snake in a chalice, an allusion to a legend that he drank from a poisoned cup to prove the power of his faith, and then restored to life two men who had died from the poison. 1635-37, oil on canvas, 54 x 36 cm, Louvre, Paris, France. Claudio Coello. B. Madrid, 1642, d. Madrid, 1693. By the later 17th century, Spain was in steep political decline, and its golden age of the arts was coming to an end. Claudio Coello was the last of the major Spanish painters working in Madrid before art at court began to be dominated by foreigners. He died a year after the Italian Luca Giordano arrived to work for King Charles II. Coello was mainly a religious painter, but he was also a fine portraitist. His work is notable for its rich color and vigorous brushwork, showing the influence of the Venetian paintings in the royal collection. Lifeline. 1642 born, the son of a bronze worker, 1660 studies in Madrid with Francisco Rizzi, 1684 appointed one of Charles I's royal painters, 1685-90 paints Charles II and his court adoring the host, 1691 appointed chief painter at Toledo Cathedral. Charles II and his court adoring the host. La Sagrada Forma. Coello's masterpiece is a huge altarpiece commemorating a ceremony in 1684 involving La Sagrada Forma, sacred form. This is the name of a miraculous consecrated host, the wafer representing Christ's body, that is said to have shed blood when desecrated by a Protestant soldier in 1572. 1685-90, oil on canvas, 5x3m, Monasterio de Iascorial, Spain. Closer look. Real or ideal Charles was a notoriously ugly man, with a strangely shaped nose and chin. Here, Coello has diplomatically given him an idealized face. The other portraits, there are around 50 in the painting, are generally more realistic. Copyright Coello made painstaking studies for most of them. Juan de Valdés Leal. B. Seville, 1622, D. Seville, 1690. After the death of Murillo in 1682, Valdés Leal was Seville's leading painter until his own death 8 years later. He too was mainly a religious painter, but he worked in a very different vein from that of Murillo, his style being highly emotional, often with a rather weird flavor and a taste for the macabre. However, the two artists produced works of effective contrast in neighboring commissions for the Hospital de la Caridad. Valdés Leal's paintings gave a glimpse of hell, before Murillo's offered a vision of redemption. In Ictu Oculi, in the blink of an eye, this allegorical work shows the skeleton of death snuffing out a candle and trampling on the attributes of worldly success. 1670-72, oil on canvas, 220x 216 cm, Church of the Hospital de la Caridad, Seville, Spain. Antonio Francisco Lisboa. B. Villarrica, Modern Auro Preto, c. 1738, D. Villarrica, 1814. During the 17th and 18th centuries, a great deal of art was exported from Spain and Portugal to their American colonies. There were also some accomplished native-born artists working in the colonies, most notably the Brazilian sculptor and architect Antonio Francisco Lisboa. The illegitimate son of a Portuguese architect and a black slave girl, Lisboa worked mainly in Ouro Preto, a wealthy gold mining center. He was nicknamed O Elijadinho, Little Cripple, because he suffered from a deforming disease, perhaps leprosy, that eventually affected him so badly that he lost several fingers and toes and had to have his tools strapped to his hands. Although he continued working until the end of his life, he died in poverty. S. Francisco de Assis. This church was Lisboa's first major commission. As well as designing the building, he also carried out much sculptural decoration, including the splendid ornamentation of the entrance, seen here. 1766-94, in Ouro Preto, Minas Gerais, Brazil. Peter Paul Rubens. Bezegen, Westphalia, 1577, D. Antwerp, 1640. Prince of painters and painter of princes. As he was described in his lifetime, Rubens was the greatest and most influential Baroque artist in Northern Europe. The huge demand for his work could be satisfied only with the help of a workshop of pupils and assistants. Cultured, cosmopolitan, and a gifted linguist, Rubens was employed by some of the greatest patrons in Europe. He was both a famous international figure and a devoted family man, and his touching portraits of family members are as celebrated as his spectacular religious, mythological, and historical paintings. Rubens was born in Germany, where his father was a refugee from religious strife, but he returned to the family home in Antwerp when he was 10 and spent most of his life there. However, his powerful style was shaped largely in Italy, where he was based from 1600 to 1608. Although his artistic output was vast and varied, Rubens also worked as a diplomat, and he was justly proud of helping to negotiate peace between England and Spain. The kings of both countries knighted him. Lifeline. 1577 born in Germany, 1587 moves to Antwerp, 1600 to 1608 based in Italy, 1609 appointed court painter to Archduke A. Bert and Infanta Saba A. Spanish governors of the Netherlands, marries Isabella Brandt, 1626 first wife AES, 1628 to 30 versus TS Spain and Ing and on diplomatic missions, 1630 Mar residential second wife Helene Formant, 1640 dies in Antwerp. The Descent from the Cross, Rubens accentuates the human drama of this biblical scene. Against a dark background, and surrounded by mourners, Christ's limp body sweeps down in a diagonal white gash. 1611 to 14, oil on panel, 420 by 310 centimeters, Cathedral of Our Lady, Antwerp, Belgium. Closer look. Physical drama Baroque painting gained its effect by emotionally overwhelming the spectator. Rubens uses dramatic physical gestures to express the character's feelings, and heighten the painting's emotional impact. Grabbing Christ's bloodied arm, Nicodemus clenches the white shroud in his teeth, adding dynamic tension in both compositional and psychological terms. An autumn landscape with a view of Het Steen in the early morning. This magnificent panoramic landscape shows the artist's country estate at Steen, south of Antwerp, which he bought in 1635 and where he enjoyed private times away from official duties. The picture was painted for pleasure and remained in Rubens's possession until he died. C. 1636, oil on panel. 131 by 229 centimeters, National Gallery, London, UK. Marie de Medicis arriving at Marseilles, the ex-queen of France commissioned Rubens to glorify her in a vast cycle of 24 paintings. The artist used poetic license and mythological figures to lend her life heroic grandeur. 1622-25, 0.1 on canvas. 394 by 295 centimeters, Louvre, Paris, France. Le Chapeau de Paille. This charming, informal portrait may depict the sister of the woman who later became Rubens's second wife. Her rosy, translucent skin tones reflect the red of the silk sleeves. Reynolds said that Rubens' figures look as though they fed on roses. C25, oil on panel, 79 by 54 centimeters, National Gallery, London, UK. The rape of the daughters of Leucippus. The Greek myth of the abduction of Hilera and Phoebe, daughters of King Leucippus, by the demigod twins Castor and Pollux has been seen as an allegory for the soul's transport into heaven. The winged cupids holding the horse's reins may signify that lust is reined in by love. C. 1618, oil and canvas, 224 by 211 centimeters, Alte Pinakothek, Munich, Germany. Closer Ayok. Twisted poses. The women's twisted poses originate in the famous antique sculpture the Laocoon. See page 58. Outflung arms create dynamic sweeping movement in the composition. Opposites. Rubens sets up contrasts of color and texture. Ruddy, muscular, male hands against soft, pale, female flesh.